We're going to finish up our notes from yesterday. We're going to continue on with distributive property because obviously we have grouping symbols inside the equation. And then if you look up here, just like our other distributive properties, are we ready? Or if you look at the problem, ladies and gentlemen, can someone share with us what are we actually distributing in this problem? What number? Ryan?
-1.
We've done this before. It just wasn't in an equation, it was in an expression. And then we combine like terms. I mean, you've done this before. All of the things that, combine like terms, like we did yesterday, you've done that in expressions. You just didn't have to solve for x. You had to stop it when you combine like terms, and you had to stop. Okay? But in equations, you obviously keep going until you find what x is. In this case, you've done this. We're going to distribute a 1. Now, if you want, like some of you actually have done on your homework, is you've actually put the -1 there, so you can see it. All right? What happens when you distribute a -1 to anything? Okay, what kinds of things do you remember? Yeah.
You just add the negative to it?
Sometimes, depending on if the term's positive or not. What does it change? When you multiply any term by a negative, what does it do?
Well, changes the sign.
Changes the sign, that's it. So really, remember how I maybe explained it to you? Or if you remember this coming out of my mouth, I don't know. Depends on the day, if you're listening or not. Okay? Can you find the opposite of anything? Do you know how to do that? Sure you do. So, when you distribute a negative or a -1, that's what I always did. That's how I thought it in my head. What's the opposite? So when I distributed negative here, when I said, okay, what's the opposite of 3x? Negative 3x. So I wrote that down. Write that down. Okay? And then I asked myself, well, I also have to distribute the negative to a, what's the other term? -12. So what's the opposite of -12? Positive, because isn't a negative times a negative? Positive. And 1 times 12 is? 12. It's the same kind of, it's whatever you want to think about it. Negative times a negative, and then 1 times 12 is still going to give us 12. And the opposite of a negative is always positive. There you go. Thank you. All right. So now make sure when you bring this 48 down that you keep it positive. And then from here, can you solve for x? Go. Do it. And we'll go right to fractions, and then we'll get to what we're going to be doing for the rest of today and tomorrow. Apparently they don't like to listen. I still love you all. Don't worry. No, you don't listen to me all the time. That's what I got. Check yours with mine. All right. Now, obviously, we're going to check this. Okay. Again, like I told you before, you need to make sure that you check it correctly. So I'm going to plug in my -12, where x is, and that has to equal a positive 48. Okay? So here, remember, because we have grouping symbols, we have to get everything inside this group, all these operations, to go bye-bye. So we have to simplify the parentheses down to one number. Then we can take that number and distribute the negative to that number. Okay, so that's the process because we have grouping symbols. So this negative sign we haven't done anything to. So that you just bring the negative down because you can't do anything right now. That's outside of the parentheses. We have to concentrate inside. So what's 3 times negative 12? Tom?
Negative 36.
Okay, so we got negative 36, and then we're going to obviously attach, whoops, didn't mean that negative. It's not negative. All right, so from here, can we simplify a 36 negatives and 12 negatives into what term? What does that make? Angela?
48.
How much?
48.
So,
Negative 48.
thank you. Now look what forms over here. Have you ever seen that before? What did we do to that? What did we do when we saw back-to-back negatives, Mason? Did we see that when we subtracted a negative? Yeah. So again, remember, when we did that, I didn't tell you yet, but in the time, did I not tell you that's really multiplying this term by negative 1? That's right, changes back-to-back negatives change to positives. That's why. It's a multiplication problem. Negative times negative, positive. All right, so here we go. We got the opposite of negative 48, obviously, is positive 48, so it checks out. Okay? Any questions on that one? Bryce?
Is it okay to check, like, how you would do it without the top part? Like, you know, like, above, like, all the colors, like the black?
Uh-huh.
Like, can you check it like the original problem, or do you have
That's what I did.
No, like the
negative 3x.
Can you check it here?
yeah, just like that.
No. Why did we say we don't check it here? What did I tell you yesterday? Why can we not check it here? Brooklyn?
Because if you got that wrong, then it'll come out right, but it's really wrong.
Yeah. Because if you, see, Bryce, if you distributed it and left this as a negative 12. Watch me, Bryce. Ready? This was, maybe you distributed, you made this a negative 12. Well, this becomes a 60. Does 3 go into 60? Sure it does. Evenly, 20. And guess what? When you plug that back in, 20 into this problem, it works. 20 wouldn't work up here at all. Do you see my problem? Because then you're going to come to me, Miss Solms, I'm right, my check works. Then I'll ask you, where did you check it? And then I'm going to be like, oh, you snooze. So you're going to lose on this one. Okay, so make sure it's the rule of thumb that I always had when I was a student was I always go with the typed equation. That's the original one. Like, you know, like on a worksheet or in a textbook. Okay? I always went with typed. Like the notes. So when I type type the equation in there, use that. Okay? That's how I always remembered it. That's when my teachers made me check. Okay? All right. Any questions? And I came out okay. My teachers made me check too. I'm okay, I swear. Most days. Apparently they don't agree. You think so? Aww. I appreciate that. But some days I don't. Some days I feel like I'm Cocoa Puffs. All right, here we go. So, if you look at this problem, obviously we're changing gears. We're still going to use, you guys still see the distributive property, right? Visible. But this time, instead of distributing a negative, which is really just an integer, negative 1, or another number, or an integer, we have, obviously, a fraction. And we're going to distribute a fraction. But if you actually listen to when we used fractions, when we multiplied fractions, or we work with fractions, I always told you that fractions are just 2 operations in one. That's all it is. And once I did this, what's funny is, you know, like, as a teacher, I always like when the light bulbs go on, and I see the faces. You know, you guys, right now you all have like, let's go, Miss Lumps, stuff. Trying to stay with the program. But like, when you guys actually get something and you have that aha moment, that's what teachers live for. At least that's what I live for. Okay? I want to see it happen. Like, oh, that moment in time where you actually, now you get it, that light bulb goes on. That's what we live for. Last hour, lots of light bulbs. Darkness turned into light, okay, which was great. So, watch this, how this works. when you have a fraction, you're going to take the numerator, distribute it to the first term, which means when you distribute, what operation is that? Yes. So remember, a fraction is always BOGO. It's multiplication and division in one. Okay, you all know how to multiply, you all know how to divide. Don't anybody jump off the boat yet. So what's 1 times 4x? Alright, so you have 4x in your head? Keep it up there, don't write it down. You don't need to write it down, you can keep it in your head. You can do this in your head. Okay? Now we're going to take that and then we're going to take that 4x that we have in our head and we're going to divide it in half. Or divide it by 2. How many x's do we have left? So guess what? 1/2, what's half of 4x? Isn't that 2x? You just distributed a 1/2. Whew, that was rocket science, isn't it? Yeah, shocked the old ticker. All right, here we go. Next one, we're going to do the next one. We're going to do the same thing. Now we're going to take 1 times -6. What do we have? What's in your head? -6. Then we're going to divide it by 2. What's our new number?
-3.
Solve for x. Have fun. Yeah, Malachi.
Don't we multiply them?
I just did. When you multiply something by a fraction, you multiply by the numerator, divide by the denominator, you break it into 2 chunks, you can do it in your head. Anytime. Wait till I do it to the next one. Watch. You're Malachi, you're gonna fall off your chair. Okay? Don't hurt your bum. Please. Or your head. I don't want that to go upstairs. I've done enough damage around here. Alright. Mason, you're done? Don't check it. I'll check with you, okay? Alright? Am I good, Mason? I critique you all the time. It's time for you to critique me. Make sure I'm doing them right. Isn't it fun when you catch an adult doing something wrong?
Yeah.
You're like, ha! Now it's your turn.
Especially teachers.
Yeah. I hear you. Because we do it too all day long, don't we? Payback, It feels, sometimes it's satisfying, but not all the time. Sometimes it comes back and bites you even harder. And that's not fun. So, all right, now I'm going to erase this part over here, so we're going to check this. And Bryce, where do we check it? Bryce, I'm going to ask you one more time. What equation are we going to use to check? There you go. He's got it. See, he picks up quick. See that? He's a keeper. He's a keeper. It's the kids that pick up quick that kind of keep around. If you were in Divergent, you know where you'd go if you didn't pick up quick. You know what I mean? Right? See what they would do? See, aren't you glad you don't live there during that time? All right. So,
That's in the future.
well, Malachi, hopefully it's not your future, right? I wouldn't want to live through that or have to see that or witness that. All right, so we got 7. Yeah, as long as you're one of the good ones. And you can do whatever they ask.
Oh,
But what if you fell below the line?
that's not gonna happen.
Okay, all right. Hey, that's a good attitude. All right, but it could happen. All right, now, here we go. Remember, again, remember how we had on the last slide, we just left that negative out here? Just leave this 1/2. Don't worry about 1/2 right now. Let's just focus on the inside. Just keep bringing it down. What's 4 times 7? Subtract 6 in your head. What do you got? 22. All right, you guys agree that value, this right here, all this, multiplication and subtraction equal 22 in our parentheses. And now, in your head, watch this. You either think about it this either way. 1 times 22 is, divided by 2 is 11. Or you can think of, what's half of 22? 11. fractions in your head. Imagine that. Right? You never thought. Did you ever thought the thought? The thought of. Can you say that? Can you say that?
I don't know.
It's like,
Okay.
For me, when I do all three together,
Yeah, let's not do that.
All right, one more. Now we're up in the ball game here. Malachi, you with me? You in the ball game or are you out? You sit in the bench. Are you in or out? All right, good. Now, the first thing we're going to do, guys, what are we distributing this time? Instead of 1/2, we're distributing 2/3. So let's do that. Let's start with the numerator. What's our numerator?
2. No.
2. So we got 2. And now we're going to take 2, multiply it by 2x. Or 2 times 6x. What do you got?
12.
12x. All right. Now we're going to take that 12x and we're going to divide it by 3. So when you divide this by 3, and it's going to come, I swear. There it goes. And what do you get? 4x is left. Okay? Do you see how I broke that down? And if you want to, remember, multiply by the numerator, divide by the denominator. Multiply by the numerator, divide by the denominator. And when you break a fraction up like that, think about it. You just distributed 2/3 in your head. Okay? I don't know about you, but that's nice. So let's do this. Let's do the next one. 2 and distribute it to a -9. What's our new number?
-18.
-18. Right? 2 times -9, is that a -18? Now we're going to divide it by what? 3. So what's 18 divided by 3?
-6.
-6. Now let's bring the rest of this down. From here, can you solve?
yes.
Go.
I would stop it.
Check yours with mine. If you're ready, I'm going to set up the check here, guys. Again, just like the 1/2. Remember how we left the 1/2 out here just hanging as we focus on just inside the parentheses? Let's do that again. So we got 6 times -7 minus 9 has to equal -34. All right? So let's focus inside the parentheses. What do we got? We got multiplication and subtraction. Obviously, we multiply. What's 6 times -7? All right, so we got -42. I'm going to bring another -9 down because I'm not going to do all that in my head to make sure I don't subtract when I'm supposed to be adding. Okay, so now I have 2/3 of what number? Well, when you put these two together, what do you get? When you put those two negative numbers together, Thomas, what do you get?
51.
negative 51 is equal to negative 34. Oh, 2/3 of 51 have to be 34, negative 34. All right, you guys ready to do that in your head? Oh, too bad. All right, so remember, because it's 2/3, we're going to multiply by 2. So let's multiply 2 times negative 51. What do you get? Double, huh? Yep, negative 102 though, right? Okay, 102. And then we're going to divide that by what? 3. Well, what's 102 divided by 3? Okay, so look, 3 goes into 10 how many times? 3. I carry the 1. 3 goes into 12 how many times? 4. And it's what? Negative. Now, I was planning on what I just handed you to be a quiz. And I looked at my final grades and all the totals. A quiz will not help any of you. If you get an A+ on this, it would maybe raise your grade 2 tenths. If you do really bad, obviously it's going to drop your grade significantly. So technically, because we have so many quiz grades and so much homework, we have so many points in here, it's not really going to make a big, huge difference. Where is it going to make the biggest impact on you? Well, guess what? This is your first grade of the 3rd quarter. So look, first of all, it's 15 points for the first grade of the 3rd quarter. Think about that. If you get 15 out of 15, look about what cushion you have. That's huge. That's a lot of points, but especially because a lot of our grades are 5 points. That's triple. Okay? That's like 3 assignments in 1. Okay? This is a color by number. If you look at the second sheet, all the answers are on that color wheel somewhere. Okay? You will color this. That is part of the assignment. Do you understand? Now, my suggestion, my opinion, I did this last year, and this is common, you probably remember this. If you don't, my suggestion, do not color anything until you know you have all the right answers. Because if you look at the color wheel, just look at it. Do you see positive and negative 18 on there? Do you see, like, if you color as you go, you got positive 18 on number 3, and now you got another positive 18 on number 9. Which one's positive 18? You see what I'm saying? You have positive 6 and positive, I think you have a couple more opposites. You have 21 and negative 21. So you have some opposites on that color wheel, where one's positive, one's negative. So if you're not careful with your signs, you're up, you know what, creek without a paddle. Okay? So you got to be careful with the signs. So, this is due before you leave class tomorrow.
So we have time to work on it tomorrow?
You have about 7 minutes right now. You can start a couple problems. Okay? Listen, what I would suggest is think about this. You come to class tomorrow. Do we have POD?
No.
Nope. Do we have homework to correct?
No.
So you have full 42 minutes. You walk in here, time starts. What you do at that time, if you don't hand it in, you're starting off the 3rd quarter with a 0%. Do you understand?
Yes.
So what I would suggest is doing some of it at home too tonight. So you look at, okay, how much can I get done in 42 minutes? You know what one kid did? Took his 7 minutes. He said, you know what, Miss Ellen, I'm going to do all the problems. I'm going to come back and check them all tomorrow and color. I said, well, you might want to start checking tonight because you need to check the problems as well. What? Yes, absolutely. You know what I did? You know what some of the kids did? They did all their work on Lucy. They put the answers in the box on here so they could see that they didn't get any duplicates. Because you can't have any duplicates.
Oh, you can't?
No.
Wait, does it have many problems?
Yeah. Yeah. But see, the thing is, if you get a 6 here and you get a 6 here, oh, the second
She got positive.
You see why you don't want to color until you don't.
Okay.
Okay? Excuse me, you're wasting time.
Wait. So
I don't care what problem you start with. Okay?
this problem I'm doing
There's 15 different problems on there. There's more than, obviously, all the sections that say -6, you're gonna color the same color.
Oh.
Okay, have you done ever color by number when you were a kid, growing up?
So can I do the problems on this and then the checks on this?
Correct. Yep, that's what I would do. And you know what? Like I said, I would put the answer back in these boxes so you can just compare the answers on here. Because it's hard now, guys, to look through your loose leaf and to compare the answers. You see what I mean? Like, okay, any of these, you see how it's so much paper? You just have to answer what it actually transfer. And you look through it. Okay. So you have the rest of the hour today. Do some work tonight, guys. And then you come back to class and have it tomorrow. One kid said he wants to just color tomorrow. This is the last day of the week. I said, go for it. Come back and just color. Oh, what an easy Thursday that would be. You see what I'm saying?
It would.
Yeah. Yeah. But what's 2 + 4? Remember, what's the most complicated a side can be before you start? How many variable terms can you have in a side?
1.
How many constants can you have?
1.
1. Then you can start the process. So this paper has combined like terms like number 1. It has fraction coefficients. Do you remember how to get rid of a fraction coefficient?
Mm-hmm.
All right. All my videos have been uploaded on YouTube, so you can go back and look at any of the videos if you get stuck, if you want to. Okay? So you make sure that you get those things done. All right? So don't be afraid to go on there. All you have to do is go on YouTube, put Colleen Alms. Okay? 2 L's, 2 E's. If you don't know how to spell my last name, look on outside my door. It's 4 letters. It's actually in the Bible, alms for the poor. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. My son's, all 3 parts of his name are in the Bible. Noah, Matthew, and alms.